if you're interested in applying as a School of Innovation and seeking waivers from the state, there is a process for doing that. If you are looking for Schools of Innovation plan and you want to know how to submit, the deadline is May 1st of this year. After this year, the deadline is March 1st annually. The information is available at Learning Services. So if you click on ADE Divisions and scroll down to Learning Services, under Learning Services, you're going to scroll down the page to on the left-hand side and select Schools of Innovation Plan. And that will take you to this website where you will find all of the information on how to apply for a School of Innovation. You have got the School of Innovation application instructions, you have the emergency rules. This is a very unique window of time for you to apply. The rules are under public comment, but they're actually going to be considering applications submitted by May 1st for those who want to implement waivers beginning in the 2014-15 school year. So this is a fabulous opportunity to get your ideas in and get those ideas underway. The person to contact if you have submission questions is Dr. Beverly Romanen. She's the contact, and her contact information is here. If you're looking for support in the process and you'd like some help working through questions or working through information, we're here to help you with that as well. As I said, this is our contact information at innovativeed.org.
Yes, this is Laura Baskin. I'm here with the curriculum team at Clarksville. We were just wondering, who are some current Arkansas Schools of Innovation that are doing this current school year? There are some current schools in Arkansas that are participating with this.
Well, interestingly enough, in terms of schools in Arkansas, there are a variety of schools right now that are doing some interesting things, but they're still doing them either under the current set of standards without waivers, or they're doing them as charter schools or conversion charter schools, because prior to this, to Act 601, those were your only options. Right now, there are several schools who have plans in the works who are looking at waivers for a variety of things. We've got an elementary school that we're working with here in Fayetteville. They're interested in waivers of local policy because they want to be able to do a STEAM, a science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics focus, and they want to integrate instruction, and they've got some local policies that make that difficult. We're also in conversations with Springdale, who's looking to start an innovations high school where students will have opportunities to go so far as to earn an associate's degree, because they're going to be looking to waive seat time requirements for gaining high school credits. So there are also, I was just in a meeting the other day where we were talking about the potential for schools to form kind of a regional approach to having an innovation school where students could go and it could focus on project-based learning. But the key there is a lot of the schools that we're seeing outside of the state, they're operating on waivers that their state legislature has allowed them to be able to apply for. So most of whom we know are doing these different things, they're doing it under other types of either charter, or they're doing it within the constraints of the current standards. The school, it may be that what you want to do doesn't require waiving any of the current state standards, and you just want ideas or assistance in taking that a step further. That's fine too. But we're happy, if you have a particular area of interest, we're happy to use our time to explore who's doing that in Arkansas as well as who's doing that nationally, and how can we put you in touch with them.
Who do you have any examples of anyone who is doing this nationally? Just off the top of your head, any examples of schools and states and nationally?
Definitely. Innovations Early College High School in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'll take you to their website. We visited their school, and it was at their school they have seat time waivers, and they have a competency-based education waiver. This is actually a district school. Salt Lake City has an urban school district, and they found that their traditional high schools were not meeting the needs of all of their students, and so they opened this early college high school for very specific reasons to meet the needs of a particular set of students. And students in this school do most of their learning is done online. Their school is open from 7 in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Students have to be at school 6 hours a day. It might be 6.5. But when that occurs differs by student. They have 4 teachers for the 4 core content areas that are full-time and 1 part-time teacher who meets some of the other core requirements that are part of their state graduation. But these students do the majority of their learning using online digital content. They have an online instructor, and then they have a face-to-face instructor that they can meet with who uses a learning management system to make sure that students are on track. So these teachers, a math teacher at Innovations Early College High School is supporting students in everything from pre-algebra to AP Calculus BC. So the teacher has a different role. They're not providing the actual lesson, but they're designing the curriculum from a digital resource that allows them to put together a series of digital lessons that students access and work through. So it's a different approach, and they're able to design a learning pathway. For example, a student might be on a very focused pathway where if they have struggles with mathematics and it's better for them to take their math and do just their math course for 3 weeks, they might spend 3 weeks completing algebra, semester 1, and then go on and then at the end of those 3 weeks, enroll in their other courses for the rest of the semester and be completing their other courses. So it really allows teachers to try and find a good fit and to help a student find their good fit in this online learning, and the teacher plays a different role. So that's one of these. You know, they're academics, they have different courses, they have a counseling center, they work with their community college, so students literally walk over to courses at the community college and come back and say, oh my gosh, I really need help in English because they expect me to be at a higher level than I am right now. Students can also focus on industry certification. And say you have a student within this school that says, I can do all of these courses online, but I really can't learn math online. Well, they can then work with their counselor at Innovations Early College High and take that math class 1 period a day at their sending high school in the district. We're seeing some very creative ways that people are letting the students' learning needs drive how they do education rather than a set schedule that manages 2,000 students. Another place that we recently visited was my school at Kent. And again, this is a public school. It's a high school that serves 20 districts. The students belong to those 20 districts. It's housed at an intermediate school district, which is like a co-op in Arkansas. And these are students that are involved in a project. Some of them are involved in a project-based learning opportunity at their Innovation High School, and they take their electives through my school. Some of them are involved in career tech, and they take their core courses through my school, and they take their electives through the CTE. It really varies. Kids are enrolled in my school. They might be enrolled for 2 courses, or they might be enrolled for all of their courses. So it's really about a personalized high school experience for them. So those are some places that we visited so far. We're headed next week to New England High School Redesign Conference to look a little bit more at how schools are working through competency-based education, because that is something that in New England they've been working on for several years, and they've got some great lessons learned. So we hope to bring that information back as well. Other questions from those of you out there?
Yes, this thing with White Clarksville also, we're going to use all your questions, but you looked at that are trying a different approach to their alternative schools as far as credit and
Exactly. So interestingly enough, some of the students that are enrolled in this school are also part of, so they might be enrolled at my school in order to get to do certain things with their credits, but they're also part of their district's alternative learning environment. And in the case of my school, sometimes those students, at my school at Kent, those students only come to the site 2.5 hours, 2 days a week. Now, and they're at their sending school or their home, or it just depends on what they're doing. It's so personalized that you can have schools in various places. But what this has done is this has allowed them to meet some of their students' credit needs through the My School program, while the student is also enrolled in their alternative learning environment for other needs. So we're seeing these different combinations, but My School at Kent is not an ALE, but it does serve students who are enrolled in some of the ALE programs. That's not all of their students. We are seeing a lot of that where they're using these seat time waivers to provide students with personalized ways to recover credit or accelerate credit if that's the case, and then to connect them to experiences that might be within their community that help them to connect more to the relevance. You might have kids who are going to this My School at Kent, they're enrolled at My School at Kent, and say they have they work a job and they have a child at home. Well, they may be receiving some support from their alternative learning environment, but they're able to personalize their schedule and stay on track for their learning by being enrolled in courses through My School at Kent. We are seeing this used as a way to help some of those kids in a different way that are in these ALEs. Other questions? Innovation for elementary. And the answer to that question is, right now in Arkansas, there aren't, but there are schools of innovation for elementary. One of the programs that we're visiting at the end of May is out in San Diego. It's called High Tech High, but they actually have elementary schools, 4 different elementary schools, and they are doing elementary education differently. Let me pull up High Tech High really quickly because it is an interesting place. Not only do they do K-12 education differently, but they've actually opened up a graduate school of education to help prepare teachers for these innovative ways of teaching. This is their K-12 schools, and they actually have 3 K-5 schools. Some of them are like a maker or inventor campus. They have a variety of different ways that they go about learning, and so they try out these different innovative ways of learning. So this is a great place to go and learn more about their program. Here's Explorer Elementary, and they're looking at, let's see, creating a small school where social and emotional learning can be integrated with deep thinking and academic excellence. So there you go. They've got a whole different model. If we went to the elementary school in Chula Vista, let's see, they would have a different, oftentimes this is rooted in project-based learning. This is a elementary setting that's got a project-based focus. And then let's go over here to High Tech High North, and I'm trying to see what their particular focus is. I don't see it right off the bat. There we go. They're also rooted in project-based learning. Kettle Moraine School District in Wisconsin has opened up these incredible, they don't have a School of Innovation statute, so they opened up schools under a charter, but this was a district that was struggling to really meet their community's needs for kids who were either bored or just not engaged. I call them the educationally disengaged students. And they have created a school that allows that where kids have an art focus, and they do their learning so differently through this series of, they have workshops and portfolio work, and so they take this concept of art and they infuse the arts, but they also organize their learning units through this just a setting and vocabulary that's very art-based. They also have a project-based learning high school. They also have an international studies program that's K-12, where students who are really globally oriented can engage in that type of information. They are looking at a health-based school where students who have that interest can explore that and early on encounter lessons that are deeply embedded with that. There's so much that's out there, and oftentimes for you guys it's hard it's hard to do that exploration and investigation, and that's part of the role that we play here at the Office of Innovation. So if there's something more you want to know, if you guys are thinking about an idea and you want us to go and find you examples, that's part of what we can do with you.
This is Julie Shepard. I'm from Falk High School.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question to find out. What I really want to know is, are there any non-negotiables that the State Department is saying that, you know, we can't look at? I got in on the webinar a little bit late.
Sure.
I guess my main concern is like the assessment. If we look at innovative ways to assess students besides the state test, is that still something that they're looking at?
So that's a very interesting question, and I just had a conversation with Dr. Witonsky about that, because I've been getting this question, and I know Jackie and Jeff, as they've talked to schools, have been getting it as well. As far as the statute goes, the only thing, one of the biggest difference between seeking a charter and seeking a School of Innovation waiver is that under Schools of Innovation, you can't waive the Teacher Fair Dismissal Act. That's one of the significant differences between the two. So if that is something that you're looking at, you would want to look at charter over the idea of a School of Innovation. When it comes to things like assessment, there's a federal law in place. So there's nothing in there that says you can't seek that waiver. However, if you sought to test your kids in an alternative way besides what the state has approved by the federal government under the No Child Left Behind or under ESEA flexibility, then you would be giving up your federal dollar. So compliance with the state is different from compliance with the feds. So you could seek a waiver for that state assessment, but there would be consequences on the federal side that you would have to consider. So if that is an important piece of what you're doing, you need to be considering that, those consequences on the federal requirements side. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that helps me with that. Are there any other non-negotiables that you can think about? You're just the only
Not
one.
that I'm aware of. And what Dr. Witonsky said to a group of superintendents when she was meeting with them up here was, she said, this is a really great opportunity, and in particular this first window that's open between now and May 1st is a really great window of opportunity, because there's nothing on the table right now. And so as you're submitting, once you submit that application, you can expect somebody at the department to be in touch with you and to be kind of shepherding you through that process and making sure they're clear about what you're asking to do and what those potential compliance consequences could be. So once you start to put things into the application, which is done IndiStar and online, then what I've been led to believe is that that opens a dialogue with the department, and they're going to help you think through what you're asking for before you do the complete submission for approval. Really, in terms of the statute, you know, that is, you can seek a waiver from those standards. And the question that just came in for clarification was, can schools seek a waiver of state law, such as starting school year prior to the date set by law? Schools of Innovation Plan, let me open this up right here, because the emergency rules kind of reflect the statute. And I believe it says in here, may request exemptions from local policies and specific laws and rules approved for exemption or modification by the state board to include any provision of law or rule governing public school districts which is required to implement or to support the plan of innovation. So the only thing that's off the table is exemptions for Teacher Fair Dismissal Act. So I hope that answers your question. That's why this is such a great opportunity.
Yeah, that does answer my question. I have one other quick question.
Okay.
If I'm going to include in the application like a waiver for my oral communications to be like in my English class, but that's also good. I mean, that's going to be a part of this. But let's say I'm not accepted. Do I also need to put the waiver in to just waive that part of it, or do you think the department is going to allow me at the time when they come back and say, no, you weren't accepted, to be accepted on just certain parts of it?
I am not sure about that, so that's a great question for Dr. Ramanan. One thing that I do remember that is very, very important, and you've raised this, you just bumped it into my mind, you must apply for course code approval if you're going to create a course that integrates a set of standards and you want it to count for credit. So if you're doing oral comm and you're integrating some other standards and you want that credit for that course to count for credit for traditional courses, you also have to submit for course approval. And I believe that deadline is quicker. That's April 1st.
Okay, so the waiver is not in this application.
The course code approval is not part of the application, but you would most likely be stating in your submission for a School of Innovation, you would most likely be stating in there that you are seeking a waiver from these seat time requirements so that you could implement this integrated course, and that you were submitting or had already gotten approved the course code approvals for that integrated course.
Okay, I understand.
You're going to want to reference that, because if you don't, they're going to, if they have time, and a lot of this is first come. If you get submitted sooner, you're going to probably get more individualized attention to your questions and to your application. If you wait till the May 1st deadline, then there's going to be this rush, and there's going to be a lot of other applications that they're trying to sift through. So
Okay.
the sooner you get that in, but I do know that you have to have course approval for these integrated courses, and that Tracy Tucker, Dr. Tucker, I believe, is the contact for course code approvals.
Okay, thank you. That answers.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yes. And Jackie, thank you for sharing that link in the chat for the elementary, Explorer Elementary at High Tech High. It takes you directly to the projects that some of those students have done. Well, if there are no other questions, then I will thank you for your time. I'll thank you for your attention. And I'll just tell you that I look forward to our office working with you as you explore your options, and hope that we can be of good service to you in helping you to explore what opportunities are out there. And again, thanks a lot for tuning in.